updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Kandace and Denise. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hail my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And viewers, well, it's Monday morning, and it's always a great way to start off the week with an update from our police. So we have Sergeant Joseph Jordan on with us this morning. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning to you, Kandace. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for having me. We look forward to giving you usual updates and a wonderful week ahead.
Great. Now, I want to get things started with some of the stuff that's been happening in regards to gun-related crime. We've had quite a few reports of shooting over the past week. What can you give us, what can you share with us in terms of the updates on those incidents?
All right, so where we are in Tobago for the last week, let us start off with our statistics. So we're looking at our statistics as it relates to January 1st and up to June the 4th, and we're going to compare 2022 to the year 2023 as it relates to serious report crimes. We have a total of 256 for this year as compared to 351.
And those are gun-related crimes?
No, SRCs, serious report crimes, generally all crimes, right? So that is where we are. We'd have recorded 27% decrease in SRCs. So we are seeing where our serious report crimes are being reduced. However, within that, we have our murders. And we would have recorded 7 murders for the year, even within the same period. Whilst last year, we would have recorded 3. So we have seen we had an increase of 4 murders over that same period, right? Our main offenses or our main challenges relates to general larceny, break-in, and sexual offenses. Fraud, we have an increase in fraud. So in an example of last year, we would have recorded 2 fraudulent matters for the period we're comparing, and this year thus far, we have recorded 15. Right? We did have a murder last week, and it's unfortunate, so we want to extend our condolences to the family. I express in my personal condolences because it's a villager of mine. It's somebody who I would have grown up with, and it's a very unfortunate and sad time for us in the community as well as Tobago. As it relates to that investigation, there is no motive established at this point in time. However, the homicide department is doing their best, doing their diligent best to see if they can solve this crime. It's a severe loss because these crimes affect not only the statistics, but it affects the lives of our family. You know, he has a wife, he has children, and we want to express, as I said, to the family of the Turner family, condolences from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Are you guys any closer to apprehending suspects?
Well, at this time, as I said, no motive has been established, and the homicide and the other agent, the other units are working to see what they can come up with. They have some evidence. However, as we often know, we have to run it through the mill before we can bring something to the table, because murders are not very, very easy to solve, because in our society we find ourselves, we hear this, we hear that. But if there is no evidence, then we cannot bring forth any charges. But we are asking the public, as per usual, 800 tips 555, provide that information that can assist the police and the family in solving this crime. Right?
Now, we've had 7 murders, as you said, for this year, recorded 7 murders. How many have been solved, and how many
we were able to solve 2 of those murders have been solved thus far. So we still have 5 others we are working on. And I assure you, if it's one thing that the homicide, the department in Tobago, we generally have a 90+% rate in solving murders. And even though it may not be, because some murders may not be solved within a short space of time, but murders are ongoing investigation. And I give the public the assurance that they continue to work hard to ensure that they get to the bottom of these unsolved murders so that we can bring some satisfaction to the lives of the families of the lost ones.
Certainly. And now moving on to another concern within our space, and that is dangerous driving. Because unfortunately, we've recorded quite a few murders. I mean, sorry, not murders, but road fatalities recently. And it is raising some concerns. So
Yes, certainly. Well, as related, even with figures, right? So last year, we would have recorded 3 fatal road traffic, deaths as a result of accidents. This year, we would have recorded 6 deaths. However, we had 5 accidents. So because of the double murder, the double
double
deaths
fatality.
that would last occurred in Tobago. So our figures are increasing somewhat. Overall, Trinidad and Tobago would have recorded, I think, 47 for the year as compared to 44 last year. So there was my figures correct, there's a 7% increase in road fatalities. And this brings us to our point this morning as relates to causing death by dangerous driving. It is a sore point, and it is a long and tedious investigation. Starting from the call, police officers would respond. They would secure the area as it relates to the victim. If they are alive, we have to wait on the DMO to decide or to determine if the person would have died, if they would have died on the way to hospital or upon arrival. That is the initial aspect. The police have to investigate, and our investigation entails recording statements from witnesses, recording statements from anybody who might have information as to what might have occurred. It involves taking photographs, measurements, getting medical reports, having the postmortem done, collecting that information, the toxicology report, which is one of the area or one of the documents that takes a very long time to get in order to complete the investigation. We also have to get information as it relates to the burial of the person. So we need to appreciate that these type of investigations, and as a result of causing or fatal accidents, it is a long drawn out process. Now the police, we would always be on the drumming board as relates to why we taking so long, how come this person hasn't been arrested and charged. But it is we must understand that these things takes a length of time, and what we want persons to do is to exercise caution on the road so that we don't have to investigate fatal road traffic accident, because one of the circumstances that leads to fatal RTs is driving above the speed limit or speeding. And when you drive at those levels of speed, it is very likely that you're going to cause serious as well as fatal injuries.
How many of our accidents, whether they be fatal or causing serious injuries, how many of those are, or what percentage, I should say, are related to driving under the influence?
All right. Based on what we would have had for the year thus far, there is no, based on my recollection, there is no information that any of the drivers were drunk or under the influence. However, as I said, speeding is one of the number one cause, and a lot of people, one of the things we often had to cry when a fatal accident happens, or they brutalize him. We do that. It is part of the process. Upon arrival, you get the brake technician, test the person. Whether they are within the limit or above, then the charges will be laid accordingly. And that is also separate from the actual offense of causing death, if it amounts to that, because causing death by dangerous driving is actually a form of homicide. All right, it's actually a form of homicide because you would have been reckless in your action, which resulted in the death of someone.
And I mean, the charges can go all the way up to life imprisonment.
Right. So the penalty, most of the times, what we often convict persons, or the court, not the police, the court, the judiciary, convict persons of is motor manslaughter. And once convicted on indictment, that person would be sentenced for 15 years imprisonment, and the license would be suspended and all these things. If it were to happen again, it would be banned for life, right? So there are the penalties in place. However, it takes a little while for we to get to that point. And once persons understand the content or the path to bring this person to justice, it helps a whole lot. And it has to do also with the communication between the police and the family, because the person is no longer with us, so somebody have to speak on their behalf. And this is where the police will have to communicate. This is where we talk about community partnership and sharing information, giving feedback. This is what we often give persons. And hence the reason why we are undergoing this aspect of educating the public as it relates to road traffic accidents that results in death, and how or what the police do and what is expected by the citizens.
All right. Well, I think that's a good point for us to end our conversation this morning, because unfortunately we are out of time. But I mean, as you know, supporting the call of Sergeant Jordan to folks be very careful out on the roads. I mean, it's sort of disturbing seeing the rate of accidents that we are experiencing. And you know, sometimes just slow down, give way. We gotta work on our road rage too, but I mean that could be a conversation that we can also
Right. I mean, there's
develop at a later point.
There's a lot more here, but as I said, road rage. So people just need to be courteous, respect the laws, the traffic laws, and a little common sense, and that will be quite sufficient to get us to and from our destination safely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sergeant Jordan.
You're welcome.
And viewers, well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back with more conversations on GMT.